welcome to the MVP Show. My intention is that you listen to the stories of these MVP guests and are inspired to become an MVP and bring value to the world through your skills. If you have not checked it out already, I do a YouTube series called How to Become an MVP. The link is in the show notes. With that, let's get on with the show. Welcome back to the Microsoft Innovation Podcast. Today we're heading to Germany, where our guest leads solution development at ORBUS. Please welcome Edith. You'll hear why she develops across the Microsoft ecosystem after turning into her mentorship driving approach and how she's turning hackathons into launch pads for real-world growth. Full links are in the show notes for this episode. As always, Edith, welcome to the show.
Hi, Mark. Great to be with you today.
I always like starting with food, family, and fun, just so my audience can get to know a little bit about you personally. So food, family, and fun, what do they mean to you?
Well, food should be healthy, currently vegetarian and plant-based and as least processed as possible. I was vegan in 2014. Then I transitioned to vegetarian when I started to travel for business-related events, and it was not sustainable anymore to be vegan. So I didn't have to constantly think about where I'm going to eat, but I had to focus on actually doing the work. And there's a lot of vegetarian options everywhere, and that was a very nice transition. But if I have to say where do I enjoy the best food is at home in Albania when my mom cooks it, because she also knows how to pick the best ingredients and she knows the man who produces, for example, the olive oil, and my dad does the honey, and in fruit and vegetables picking, she's great. So it always tastes best there. Family. I have my family everywhere because my family, core family is living in Albania, my mom, dad, and the younger sister. The other sister and her family is living in Finland, which is very interesting to experience that culture there. So we go visit and we also have a bit of Finland while being there. And I married a German, so I'm also getting to know the core of German people, which is highly interesting. They are also very connected. They are my neighbors, so we get to do a lot of things together. For example, we sing songs for Christmas. We have gaming nights. We grill together. We celebrate every possible birthday. So it's a great connection there. Fun. Well, it depends. I'm a sponge. I'm all the time sort of consuming information for topics I'm interested at. Medicine, for example, is something like getting to know my body and how do things work and what's best for me. And it's never tiring for me. I'm very curious all the time, reading, listening to podcasts, for example, try things out. Of course, nutrition is part of it. Workouts and physical activity has also accompanied me for years. It's something which helps me for my mental health primarily, but also for other good outcomes it brings with it. I like to dance because that's a form of expression where I'm not thinking about anything. Like I'm not thinking about that meeting or that email I didn't send. That's really one of the few activities where I can just let go, like running, for example, from time to time, or walking outside in the nature. And I have 3 turtles, or I'd say tortoises, because there are land turtles. I got 2 new babies 1 month ago, so they require currently a lot of babysitting. Sometimes they are sitting here next to me because they fall on the back, and that's not nice because they might die. So it has been pretty fun lately, taking them everywhere with me, like when working out, when dancing, when cooking, when doing everything. It's a nice journey to see how slow paced their life is and how I can incorporate a bit of that in my daily life.
This is so cool. There's like so many interconnected things that you have going on. It is very, very interesting. And I love the interplay in the communities that you're in and the songs and the eating together and stuff like that is when I traveled through Russia, one of the things that I noticed is that people inherently love family, and no matter which culture you go into, and I'm coming up 50 different countries I've been to, that's one common thing I always notice, that people love their families and they love to be involved in their families. And it's that special time when, they're not working. Tell me more about Albania.
It's an amazing, chaotic marvel, I'd say, because you have a lot of virgin things that are still untouched and unchanged, like nature-wise, for example, isolated beaches where it's difficult to construct big building or something tourism related. So it's nicely enjoyed when you just drive with your Vespa or your motorbike, because there's no way to reach it otherwise, and you can just spend some time there. It's a very small country, but it has everything in terms of nature. Like, we have very high mountains, and in half an hour from these high mountains, you are at the beach. Sometimes there's beach with a hillside on the back, so it's a great combination of climate, because of course on top of the hill it's a bit different compared to when you are by the sea. We have two seas that touch our west coastline, and they bring with it different natures of beaches, from very sandy to pretty rocky. We have a lot of rivers. We have also lakes. So in terms of nature, I really love to be there. The food is delicious. As I said, I eat best when I'm there. It's similar to Italy and Greece. For example, the best Greek salad, it's of course tastes better in Greece. And similarly for some dishes that you can just find in Albania. People are very social, which is a bit different if you see me. I'm a social person, but I'm not the person who starts things. Like, I need a bit of time to listen and to read the room before I ignite anything. But that's also great to see, because I hear a lot of feedback from people from the community who visited Albania, and I give some tips, for example, because I'm all the time saying, hey, if you're going, let me know. I will make the itinerary for you, or you can meet my sister and she can explain everything. They're like the hottest places, the nicest things to visit. I'm all the time very passionate about people visiting Albania, but also colleagues or friends that decide to go there. We are a country that is very opinionated. It's a bit resistant. It comes from the culture we had, because we have been under dictatorship for a lot of years, and we first came out in the 90s, and in the beginning it was chaos. We wanted to be free, but we did not understand actually the concept of freedom, because we did a lot of things which have nothing to do with freedom, and we thought that means to have no rules and do whatever you want. But we are getting there, because I see a lot of people from the Power Platform community that I meet in conferences, and they're awesome people. I like their mentality, how they think, how passionate they are about things. And this passion is what sort of differentiates me in a place like Germany. And I'm learning in the last years to use that in my favor, because if I am convinced about something, then I'm very pushy, I'm very passionate, I'm taking people into the journey, convincing them, inspiring, doing everything, understanding why didn't they get inspired, what did I miss in the communication, what do I have to do to really convince them, because I'm really convinced. And I use a lot of that in my career, I would say.
So interesting. Tell me about being a sponge, and and what are you absorbing at the moment? What are you kind of, in the last 6 months, we're halfway through 2025. What are you getting into? What are you learning that's new, that's kind of stretching your thinking in the last 6 months?
Yeah, I like to combine things. For example, what I observed is that if I'm doing something at home, like Saturdays for cleaning, I like to have something in my ears. So I'm listening to something, and usually it's podcasts. They might be tech work related, and it comes with phases. For example, there's a phase where I'm highly inspired and going deep dive into topics, because for me it works best. If I want to learn something first, I have to listen to a concise summary and version of it, and some opinions and some ideas. Where's the journey going? How does it look like? Where are we at? What are the potential risks and opportunities? And then that is a good base to deep dive in terms of learning and docs and trying things out and breaking things. So for example, AI, of course, has been one of the topics I have been highly invested in the last years, like listening a lot, even though that was not directly part of the projects that we were doing, we have been experimenting and trying to stay up to date, because I think from the beginning, as we have connectors and custom connectors and Power Automate, it's a very easy, simple way to sort of just check what simple models are doing. We started with machine learning back in the days, and I had a very nice expert in the field who joined my team. He got to understand the power of Power Platform, and I always try to give him the space to experiment with machine learning, even though the hype was not there yet, or we didn't see the business value back then. So he kept me up to date, and it was a great addition to the team. And of course, now more and more with all these type of additions and co-pilots and agents and the big announcement agentic era and the UI for AI and generative user interfaces and this is that and that is that. All this type of stuff are things which I like to listen to and gather perspectives from the community. Sometimes I'm really overwhelmed by this, so I move on to something which is another interest of mine. For example, lately I've been highly invested in mental health and psychology. It's always been my interest, but lately a bit more practical, like what are some things where you notice, for example, because I'm leading a team of people. And I always start my weeklies with, how was your weekend? Because we have them on Monday. And, or what is stressing you? And I have now a very good relationship where they also tell me other things which are not work related that help me a lot to sort of prioritize and make sure that we have successful and happy projects and happy customers. So I learn and read a lot in that direction. If this also feels a lot of heavyweight, then I go to nutrition, or I might just listen to some songs, or I might just binge. For example, sometimes I really need the pause because I learned to build a relationship with my body. This is something that this conscious eating brought, where I try to listen. How do I feel? Do I feel overwhelmed? Do I feel stressed for nothing? Or do I feel like dizzy and not concentrated, unmotivated, for example? So what might be missing in terms of things like how have I been eating lately? Do I need iron or do I need vitamin D or vitamin B12, for example? But also, am I doing too much? Am I absorbing too much? And do I need something which is completely where I don't need to think? So I binge, for example, some Netflix shows which are just junk, but I sort of need them while working out. So I watch television running or doing some training, which is also not good. I learned I really have to learn how to be lazy because I'm a person who doesn't know how to be lazy. Like just sitting on the couch and doing and thinking about nothing is not my thing, or I cannot do it for a long time. But I learned to not romanticize this part, and I'm slowly trying to learn how to really relax and focus and not listen to anything or thinking about things, which is a bit difficult. So I incorporated then yoga and meditation. But in terms of information, it's all the time. Then I have my, for example, typical podcasts I listen to. For example, I like to listen to your podcast. I like to listen to the announcement. Then when we are close to those big summarize announcements, because they are announced every time, but the top 5, top 10 from Lisa, for example, in YouTube in the morning while brushing my teeth and getting ready. Or I have some interesting political podcasts in German, for example, because it helps a lot with German. I'm speaking on a daily basis German and I need to improve it. So I'm a person who wants to be better than I was yesterday. So I'm all the time thinking, what's my interest? How can I combine it with something else? And where it's enough from the tech perspective or work perspective, and where I can add something else in order to reboot, relax, and come in with new energies, because I know that we are not all the time hyped and overly motivated.
Tell me about meditation.
Difficult. For a person like me, it's very difficult. Especially if you think that you have to do it a certain way. So what it means for me, it's I wake up in the morning, I prepare my turtles because they like a morning bath. Like at 7 something, they are bathing in the balcony. Now it's summer, it's pretty hot, by the way. Today it's one of the hottest days in Germany. We have like 38 degrees. That's why I'm drinking. I run. And while they enjoy their bathing time, I have an app which is for free and has some meditations in there, different lengths from 5 minutes to 20 minutes. So you have to decide how much time you have to put it in your day. So I put it in. I just sit in a comfortable place. Sometimes I observe my turtles. Sometimes I manage to leave a lot of thoughts away. Sometimes I think, oh, great, now I will start the day and I have to do these things first and these I have to prioritize. That's not a very good meditation, of course, because you are bringing in actions. So it depends. It's just, you just have to do it. Like just do it every day, like brushing your teeth, put it in your calendar, and then you will see the effect with the time, which means that you will observe yourself more. Like if there's a conflict or something, instead of getting heated and reacting on the moment, you might think, where's the other person coming from? Why am I, for example, being so stressed about it? Why am I so triggered? Should I define a call to action now, or better to sleep one night over it and come up with a solution which is best for both? And also this concept of there is not us against each other, there is us against the conflict or a problem or whatever it might arise. So let's find ways to solve it together. And I think there it helped because I'm coming from Balkans and we are known to be hot-blooded and passionate and impulsive, like acting on the moment and loud and everything. So it was a learning process. We never had a communication course at university or at school. So finding it out the first time when you are working like in the industry, it's a bit late, but it has been very helpful.
So interesting. Tell me, I know you're big on mentorship in the tech space. Tell me about how you think about mentorship and helping people in their tech careers.
I see it. I didn't have a straightforward, let's say, a career. I didn't know I would be doing what I'm doing. And I did not like what I studied. So I studied computer science and I was sort of programmed to always deliver. So I was high, top in class and high results everywhere, which was not an indicator of anything because I finished and I didn't like it. I always loved medicine, but I went to tech because back then I made a mini job market evaluation and I saw you are best paid if you go in that direction. And I had my first job. I was sort of crying very often at the toilet because I didn't like to spend my day sitting in front of a PC trying to debug something, an error that I produced. So I was thinking, hey, are you doing the right thing? And then I switched jobs, started working at ORBUS, completely new in the Microsoft technology. It was an unsolicited application. I saw they are doing SAP and Microsoft, and the Microsoft team had the first interview with me. So I landed in the Microsoft space and in Dynamics space. And there I started to understand the product and I was working with teams and also developing. In the beginning, I was a developer from scripting plugins as it usually is. I liked it, but again, I felt I needed more. So I'm a person who notices things, like I'm a person who observes a lot and listens a lot. So this gives me this opportunity to identify some things which might not be working as they should. So I'm also a person who criticizes a lot. So I had very open conversations with my chefs and everybody when I saw something, and they gave me this space, which was great. And I know it's not something that every company gives you. So this is one of the things and flexibilities I highly appreciate at ORBUS. And then I participated in a hackathon. It was my first. I cried before going there because I thought, what are you doing? Hackathons, are you good enough? And I had it crunched with a conference participation. So they were next to each other, and one was in Munich, the other one was in Berlin. So it was difficult logistically speaking, but also in terms of focusing your energies and what are you going to do. I entered there and I was girl number 3 in 120 participants. So the heart rate went up. And we managed, I remember the solution was called Log Trends, and it was a combination of Power Automate, custom connector, a very simple Canvas application, and machine learning. So what you do, you give some parameters. I want to transport goods that need to be refrigerated or not from A to B. What are the best freight options? So it calculates in the background based on some data that we had, some dummy data, which is the best route. And then it visualizes you like it lists you the top optimal routes to book. And we were they liked our solution because it was business related. So we had to present it in front of the general manager of Microsoft and friends back then. And I was a bit introduced in the Microsoft world. The fear and this imposter syndrome became a bit more manageable. And working with technologies, I came back to Orbis and I said, we have to do a hackathon about Power Platform, this thing. Let's check it out. They said, yeah, let's see if you push it forward. So I got also the freedom to see if this thing will fly and will be business relevant for us, because we have a lot of experts since years. Like we have dinosaurs at Orbis who worked with the first version. They built their own CRM and then they went with the options that Microsoft offered. So we have a lot of knowledge, especially in the CRM space at Orbis. So they are all the time. And also this German mentality, like they are not very expressive and they observe and they are not easily convinced. So they check, they try things out. They might say, I have no idea, but they have tried a lot of stuff in the background. So they are not all the time loudly showing off. And they are all the time evaluating. So I said, yeah, check and see if this is something that might fly. And then I started building my team and I had to know how to make these people follow a culture. So I also had the freedom to understand what type of people do I want to work with? What type of culture do I want in my team? And I wanted sponges. I wanted people who are not afraid to read, to learn, to expand, to try things out, even if it's scary, even if they think they can't, even if it's unsure, like try it out. Stay involved and see how the journey goes. If it flops, it's great. You learn something, you can move on, you can shift, you can pivot, you can adapt. And I also learned, do I keep them in a lab, for example, with all these in-a-day stuff, or do I put them in the arena? For example, for me, what worked out is sometimes I also do a lot with myself. I just drop myself into something, having no idea about it. For example, in the sea without knowing how to swim. And then I see how I manage. And I drop them all the time, but observing them, like how are they doing? And when they first raise their hand and say, hey, I need help. And then I explained why I did that and what we learned and what can we do. For example, they faced their first challenge. So I had to bring in another colleague from another team to support, because sometimes if you are working with people who are coming fresh from the university, did not program, they studied, for example, media informatics, which is not a lot of hardcore programming. And now they are working with a tool, which in my eyes, if you want to do it right, then you have to involve some clean code and these, for example, error handling and fallback being considered, all these type of patterns, which are very important if you really want to think a solution through and not just it works and I'm happy and I did it. So I had to bring in also help from other colleagues I thought that could help in order to find a solution together. And they grow, they help, they feel better about themselves, they build their first solution. And then, of course, when is the time to put them in real projects and not just leave them in the lab, let's say, because, of course, I think it's important from the beginning to have a base, but at some point you have to move somewhere else. And then building a community internally, for me, it's very important to have a community. Orbis is big. We have offices everywhere. We have people who are building something, not just in the Microsoft space, but also in the SAP space. So I thought, let's do a meetup. I live in a countryside, in a sort of a very hidden place in Germany. So there's not a lot of community things going on. So I saw the need to build something. Like if it doesn't exist, do it yourself. So I built internally a community where I invited all our enthusiasts from Austria, from Switzerland, or from other teams that are doing also some other stuff. And we meet on a weekly basis. We talk about problems we had. Sometimes we solve problems in the meeting. We talk about highlights, like what did I hear, read in LinkedIn or whatever, which I would like to share with you because I know that it's valuable information. Sometimes we have topics which are being presented. For example, I tried this PCF here, or I tried this custom page here, or I'm experimenting a bit with this agent and this is how it looks like, or have you seen the news at Build? I want to give you a concise summary, how I saw and how I perceive stuff. So it's a very nice weekly meeting where we sit for 1 hour and we talk everything about Power Platform. I had to build this for my team, and I would like to share the same knowledge I gained in the process, because there was a lot of learnings, like what I did right, where it took a lot of more time, and what I can improve, and where can I be a bit more efficient. And of course, putting these in a framework. I have a community building framework for Power Platform, but it can apply it's technology agnostic in my opinion, which I share with my customers. But I also learned how great the community is out there, especially how approaching and how friendly and how helpful those people are. Like they really grab you and say, "Hey, we think you fit in. Come." Like it's not that you have to ask or see, "Do I?" Even if you are scared, they are amazing. Like I didn't know. As an outsider, I thought, "Oh, a lot of divas, and I don't know how they are, and I don't know if I fit in." But I experienced something completely different. And now, for example, I have people saying, "Hey, do you want to mentor this?" Or, "Hey, I saw you, I'm following you for years and I'm getting started. What do you do?" And I say, "Let's get a chat, like let's sit together and get to know each other, because I have to know more. And I think you experience more when talking to people, and I can just see how I can help." So my trajectory was not straightforward. And this helped me understand that we might come from we all bring our perspectives. I usually say we are walking perspectives, because we live all in our virtual world, how we perceive things. We don't know how the reality looks like. We know how we perceive it. And a lot of things, a chat here or meeting the right person there can really influence, can really give you that push. Like I like to be a pushy person. I am a pushy person. And it feels great when you help people. So I also learned that if you do good, it's awesome.
Edith, it has been so interesting hearing your story. I feel I could listen for another hour, but our time is up. So thank you so much for coming on the show. And I know I saw you in person, 3 or 4 weeks ago. Hopefully it won't be too long, and I'll see you again.
I hope that too, and it has been great, Mark. Thanks a lot.
Hey, thanks for listening. I'm your host, Business Application MVP Mark Smith, otherwise known as the NZ365 Guy. If you like the show and want to be a supporter, check out buymeacoffee.com/NZ365 Guy. Thanks again, and see you next time.